it's Margaret from Right at Wrench It. Today I'm stepping out from behind the camera to record a video for you guys. I'm going to be showing you how to sew a patch onto a leather vest. I'm going to be showing you with a leather vest, but the process is the same whether you're sewing it onto some chaps, a jacket, or any other type of leather garment. Okay, so let's talk about what you're going to need. You're going to need some leather needles, and it'll be marked that they're for leather somewhere on the needle. You're going to need some thread, and I like to go with a color that matches this border that goes around the patch that I'm sewing on. And then you're going to need either a seam gauge or a ruler of some type. Optional are going to be some 505 spray or some other type of adhesive that's made for fabric, and a leather foot. You'll know that you have a leather foot when you flip it over. It's going to be real smooth on the back. Sometimes it's called a Teflon foot. It's the same thing. The first thing we want to do is make sure that the area that we're applying the patch is clean. I've already wiped this area with some leather cleaner. Then we want to take the patch, make sure that it's going to fit, and line it up. I'm using these seams to frame this patch. If, however, you had a lot of space on either side or other patches, you'd want to take your ruler, measure all the way around so that you make sure that you have the patch centered and placed correctly. The other thing you want to do is if there's any type of writing, make sure that the patch is straight. What's going to be really helpful, because whenever you're working with leather, you never want to pin anything into place. That can damage the patch, but it's definitely going to damage your leather. So you're going to take some kind of fabric adhesive spray. I like 505 the best. You're going to hold it out from a distance, and you're going to spray the back of the patch. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the 505 spray, shake it up, covered my garment so that there's no overspray onto my leather vest. Just give it a couple of quick sprays. You want to take it and place it exactly where you want it. Now for a few minutes, you're going to have some wiggle room so that if you see it's crooked or needs adjusting, you can lift it up and move it over. You want to press it down firmly and let that spray dry. I want to make note though, this spray is not strong enough to actually hold the patch in place. You still have to sew it down. Once you have your patch placed where you want it, it's time to go ahead and head over to the sewing machine and get it set up. Now, one of the important things when you're working with leather is to make sure you increase your stitch length. When you're sewing with leather, you want your stitch length to be about 3. If you're sewing even heavier leather, such as going over seams, things like that, then you want to go ahead and bump it up to 3.5 to 4. I'm going to go ahead and set mine to 3.5 because of the edge of that patch. I want to make sure that I don't tax the machine any. I am using an electronic machine, but you don't need an electronic machine in order to sew on leather. If you have any type of extenders on your snaps or anything like that, make sure you've taken those off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my presser foot. A lot of machines will have a handle in the back that'll allow you to raise it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to stitch on this edge that goes around the patch. A lot of times people will stitch on this inside area. What's going to happen over time is this is going to start to curl up. So we want to stitch on that. Wherever the needle pierces, that's where our stitch is going to be formed. So I'm lining up the needle. I'm going to take my hand wheel, that's this wheel on the side of the machine, and turn it towards me. I can see that it's going down right where I want it. So we'll go ahead and lower the presser foot and start stitching. When you're working with leather, especially when you're new to sewing, you want to make sure that you take your time. You're just going to maneuver the vest as you go. Now my machine has a needle down position, which means every time I take my foot off the presser foot, which is the foot underneath that makes the machine go, my needle sinks down. If your machine has that, it's a great feature to go ahead and engage while you're doing patches. Okay, we're just going to keep maneuvering the vest around. Okay, we're almost back to where we started. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of stitches past where I started. Okay, and I'm going to do what's called a back stitch, which means I'm going to stitch backwards, and I'm only going to do that a couple of stitches. You want to do that at the beginning and the end. My machine automatically does it at the beginning. Most machines will have either a knob that you press down or a button that looks like kind of like a rewind or a U-turn. And what it does is it makes the machine sew backwards. That's going to lock your stitches in place. I'm going to turn my hand wheel towards me. We always turn our hand wheel towards us. I'm going to raise the presser foot, pull to the back, and snip those threads. So I'm back over at my cutting table. All that's left is to snip those threads. And flip it over, see if there's any on the inside. Clip that bobbin thread. And at this point, your patch is secured and your vest is ready to be worn. That's how easy it is to sew a patch onto leather. Whether you've ever sewn or not, it really is a simple task that you can handle yourself without having to take your vest and patches in to be done. Down below in the description, you're going to find a link to some leather needles and the blog post that accompanies this. It also has some more information about working with leather, working with patches, and of course, if you want to purchase your own Right It Wrench It patch, how you can do that. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll go ahead and give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber.